Good morning, David. It is the 15th of November. By the way, today is my wife's birthday. So happy birthday to my wife.
Happy birthday to Makun's wife.
She is going to be 21. Hey, don't laugh. She sees this video, which I doubt she will, but I'm going to force her to see it. She's going to be very upset if you laugh and I tell her that she's not 21. So no laughing.
All right.
But it was a good week, I think, overall. And do we want R2D2 to say hello to all the viewers?
Yeah. This was our old mascot uh little Easter egg. We originally launched as GTM Copilot and we
Yeah.
had the little R2D2 as our mascot, but we pivoted our name, but we still kept, the little R2D2, a little bit of
Yeah,
that
I can see
that
that.
flavor, So
Yeah, no, it's like I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, so today we're going to talk about data quality. We had one of our customers actually, that was the interesting part. We had a customer that we talked to this week, or actually a prospect that we talked to this week. And let me set the frame, the context for you. So the typical customer that we or the prospect that we talk to has a whole host of different systems. Obviously, they have a CRM system, they have a marketing automation platform, they have an ad platform system, or they have an ad network of some sort. So they get a lot of data and they have website traffic. So content management system, they have a lot of different systems. And they get all this data and it all moves into a single place. Most of them are starting to put it into a data warehouse or a data lake like Databricks or something. And this person was telling us we are awash with data, but they're not able to make any decisions. Actually, they want to be more data driven. They think they are, but a lot of the data is either incomplete, inaccurate, inconsistent, and just wrong. So, walk me through why this happens first. We collect a lot of data, but why are all these issues popping up for marketing people that the data warehouse almost seems like something that they dump a lot of data into like a garbage truck, but they never seem to use a lot of it.
yeah. I mean, there's like you said, there's so many sources. And so like it all to me a lot of the issues start at the genesis of the data. So whether it's a form fill or a purchase, um, or a customer call, uh, typically the genesis of like any single person's data is quite limited, right? So first name, last name, maybe email address, maybe a phone number. That's about it. You're gonna get, I don't know, 4 or 5 data points. So to begin with, the data is incomplete, right? And then you have a time component to it. It's like putting something in your fridge and thinking your fridge is like a time machine that it'll just, sort of stay the way it is forever. But if, for anyone out there that's seen aliens growing in their, fresher drawer, you know that it doesn't keep forever. And the same is with data. So data has a decay rate of 25% year on year, which is, roughly 2% a month. And so if the data was incomplete to begin with, but maybe mostly correct, it's still going to rot at a rate of 25% year on year. So to me, those are the two major issues. And then you have the issues of sort of combining data from different systems. So that's where you need some kind of unification. And that's its own nebulous rabbit hole. And so like, if your data and my data get combined, like a vegetarian and a meat eater, that could be very problematic. Uh, if you're a steakhouse and you're
Yeah.
reaching out and sending a promotion to Mukun 25% off, Omaha steaks, that
Walk me through this 25% decay. Walk me through why that happens or what that is. What is the source of it? Why does data decay 25%? And why is it 25% not 50% or 100% or even less 10%?
um I couldn't tell you why it's 25%. It's just one of those universal truths that has been, verified. So you can Google this. But yeah, that's just this sort of universal constants like the speed of light. Um, But people change. Like they change jobs as an example, right? So if you look at any given industry, like especially in tech as an example, people change jobs what every year and a half, give or take. And then within the consumer realm, I mean, I think it can change even faster. So like if you're talking about like fashion and retail, the winds of what's popular, what the things that are trending change very rapidly. Um, so consumer preferences can shift with that as well.
Yeah, talk to me about so as you mentioned, people change jobs, so that changes. People change titles. So someone that was previously a back-end engineer now might become a full-time full stack engineer. Someone that was an email marketing person might become a customer retention manager. So that changes obviously. People change jobs, obviously. They
Yeah.
change, go from one organization to another organization. The other thing that is interesting is the stage where they are, where they're at in the buying cycle also changes rapidly, right? That also contributes quite a bit. So previously they were maybe exploring, but now, or they were awareness stage. Now they're moving more to the, I'm trying to figure out which one might fit. They're going through different stages as well. Now, when they take all this data, the other interesting part that I learned from this customer was they do a bunch of transformations. So they take, in one of the forms, they were giving me an example. In one of the forms, they collect first name, last name, and email address and give them a call to action. So it is an ebook. Now they take that email address and they put it into another system, which is their marketing automation platform to score it. Now, to score that, they have to get a bunch of different data. So they get it from two different data providers. And obviously, these two data providers are somewhat incongruent with each other, but somewhat incongruent with each other. Some of them are fresher, some of them are not. That's the interesting part, right? So one data provider has freshness on the title that they collect from LinkedIn, but another data provider has freshness on the email address that they might collect from another place. So now you have two inconsistent pieces of data. And again, you don't know which one to go and pick, right? So that becomes another issue to a certain extent. Talk to me about transformations. When people do these kinds of data transformations to put it into a warehouse so that they can segment the customer or build a segment of a customer or a list of a customer, even there, data quality starts to decrease. You would expect it to get better, but it seems to be decreasing.
Yeah. The first thing that pops in my head are, most people are dealing with a UI, and so they're not really seeing a back end. But actually, even at the field level that marketers have to deal with, fields have types, right? And on a basic level, they're sort of like strings, so like words as a type, and then numbers. And so like if you think about sometimes especially for accounts, there's like a revenue or size. And this is like a main component of, how you target, who you target. And so like if I only
And
sell,
scoring as well, and for scoring as well.
yeah. So if I only target companies that make over 50 million in revenue, now, if your scoring mechanism needs a number and it sees 50 and M, it doesn't know what to do with that. And so it's going to give a zero for revenue. And so it's those sort of basic transformations that actually get very difficult to deal with, especially at scale.
The other interesting part is I'll give you an example of what this customer told me. And this was, they showed me live, right? You go to LinkedIn. So a lot of these data providers, and I'm not going to mention the names, we know who they are. A lot of these data providers also scrape or they use LinkedIn as a source of data. Now, there are a ton of web pages on LinkedIn that have quote unquote 5,000 people or 500 people. But when you click on the actual LinkedIn company profile, they've got like one person or zero. Now, suddenly the data provider says, oh, LinkedIn says that they have more than 5,000 people or something to that extent. So now they make the number of people in the company greater than 5,000. But realistically, it's an association which doesn't have any employees. Now, that's one part of it. So now the data gets, because their employees that they're able to count is about 27, they think that the company actually has 5,000. Really, the company has zero, right? So
Yeah.
that transformation also becomes extremely hard. in some senses because you're trying to triangulate between what is the right source of data. And now you have at least, they were telling me they have at least 10% of companies in their database that really shouldn't be in the 5,000 or 500 and above employees because they got it from LinkedIn and the transformation changed.
Yeah. Yeah. Not to mention, especially bigger orgs. And this is a best practice, don't want to destroy data, so they won't overwrite like the new employee count number. And so then you end up with sort of two entities with different numbers. So then if you wanted to pick the right one for the campaign, you have no idea which one's the latest one.
What are the transformations? We've talked about the M, 50 million M to, five followed by 50 followed by six zeros kind of a transformation. What other transformations seem to be causing data quality issues? One of the things that we had seen, for example, was, what this customer gave me another example. They have someone sign up for a webinar, and now they have to take that data and put it into their nurturing campaign. And now they put them as signed up for webinar. Now, when they attend the webinar, they get another signal. Let's call it a signal that says, yes, this person has attended the webinar. They have a follow up and all that. But the problem is that occurs in their email marketing system. And now they have to take that and then change that flag and put that back into the data warehouse saying this person attended. So show me, for example, if they want to find out, show me all the people who signed up for this webinar, who attend the webinar, and then wanted to be able to go ahead and have a follow-up. It's impossible to do that because the email marketing system has got a transformation flag that is in the email system that has to be then done in the data warehouse. So one is a flag based on yes or no, another one is a number based on 1 to 0. So now they've got that completely messed up again.
Yeah, yeah, because one in sort of back end is a Boolean, so it's false or positive, which does end up transforming to a zero or one, depending on what language you're using. Um, but yeah, like one's a Boolean type and the other's a number type. So that's also a pain in the ass to deal with.
Yeah. And then the other transformation I've seen consistently people get wrong is locations,
Yeah,
right? NY is New York City, or is it New York in the state? Another one I've heard consistently people get wrong is United States versus United States of America versus US and Virgin Islands and all of that stuff.
yeah. And you have no standardization, and then a lot of times people are using standard pick list fields in one system, and the other system doesn't have a standard pick list field. Um, so then you need to transform it to match 100% match the pick list field. If it doesn't 100% match, then it'll kick back an error, and the data won't cross over. So that whole record won't cross over. And what we've seen, like in that customer's instance, was you had tens of thousands of errors with one system to another, where literally these records are just hanging out in limbo forever in perpetuity. So you're leaving money on the table.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Another one that I see a lot of people get wrong is dates. And transformation of dates becomes a challenge. What I mean by that is I'll give you an example. I was talking to a prospect yesterday, and they said the customer or the prospect sends us something which looks like a specific date. Now, you have to record that date. Some people have to do it manually, some people do it in an automated fashion. The recording date can be the date it was sent versus the date the person received it versus the date that is actually on the document. So now we have three different dates, although three different people are entering the same information with three different dates. So now we're confused the system all around, all along anyway.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm
So
way too.
data duplication, how does data deduplication work? What's the best way to be able to help deduplicate this data besides a simple just deduplicate? What else are customers doing to be able to get rid of this bad data in their system for duplicate data?
So the standard approach I've seen is they'll use some primary keys or natural keys. So like an email, first name, last name, company, maybe even address. So they'll and you know the more attributes that you add, the more complex these calculations get. Um, and so, yeah, they'll sort of use these attributes, rank them, and uh, based on those attributes and their ranks, that's how they'll do the deduplication. Um, and it can be very problematic, uh, especially since certain systems like HubSpot, they
Hmm.
don't have, like HubSpot doesn't have a lead object. And the nice thing about a lead is a lead doesn't need to have a company. So when you only have contacts, you always have to have a company. And so a lot of times HubSpot will auto create companies so that a contact isn't homeless, so to speak. And that will add a lot of duplicates to the system. And there'll be like slight variations. It'll be like the same company name with maybe Inc. and then the same URL, but with a backslash and then home or something like that. And you'll end up with tens of thousands of these records, which, you know, becomes very difficult to dedupe once you've gotten into too deep.
Okay, so if you are a marketing person, how do you go about doing a data quality audit, and how long does that usually take? And how does iCustomer help, for example?
If they wanted to do it themselves, I might do like at a company level, I might do a fuzzy match. So I'd export all of my accounts, and
Hmm.
then in a spreadsheet, I would do like a fuzzy match between like uh, name and domain, and that'll give you like a rough sense of how many duplicates you have. It's not foolproof. A lot of things will get through. But yeah, that's one way to do it. The way iCustomer does it was we have this concept of a immutable universal ID. So it's kind of like your social security number, but obviously, way more
Not.
complex. Yeah, not. Um, and so like every person, every company that we have in our open graph has a immutable ID, and then all of their data falls under it. It's kind of like this pyramid where at the top is the universal ID, and then all of the people data and account data fall underneath. Um, so
How
that's
often do
how.
people do quality or data quality audits? Is it done every once, every quarter? Should they do it every month, every year? What does that look like?
Though from my experience, they don't do it until it's a problem. So, and that tends to
That is a
be
problem in itself.
it tends to be at the like 1.5 year mark, give or take. So it's once they've gone over 30-40% data rot, then they'll, oh wow, okay, we need to do a cleanup here. So it tends to be the case that I've seen where SMB is less concerned with it because they're dealing with like lower volumes of data. But if they do graduate to like the like mid to enterprise level, like they
Yeah,
grow a lot. And actually we ran into a customer like this at Xylotech where they were like a unicorn. And within 4 years they went from SMB to like, I don't know,
enterprise.
$500 million in revenue. And their data rot was outrageous, and it was something they couldn't handle. They couldn't tackle anymore with like a spreadsheet or sort of typical methods.
Wow. So tell me a little bit about when they went from that stage to growing that quickly. I guess in 18 months, their data probably exploded, right? In terms of just what the customer is doing, how they collect that customer data and how they manage it, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And then the data quality audit, when we go through a data quality audit, we actually go through the entire customer journey of the audit. We go from, okay, they went to the website, there's a form that was filled, and we look at all the different channels, whether it was ad data, whether it was website data, whether it was off website, on website, etc., things of that nature. When we go through our audit, Are there any recommendations we make on what we need to be able to do? And then second part of that question, is there something easier than just exporting to Excel spreadsheet and doing it manually? Especially if you have tens of thousands of records, that's going to take days, if not weeks or months.
Yeah. I mean, there's some tools out there that help you do it, um, but they'll tackle like portions of it, so they're like point solutions. Um, if you can code, you could throw it into a notebook. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I haven't really personally run into a good DIY solution because I had to do this kind of work before. And I was using a notebook. But it's weeks of effort, and then you're still sort of uncertain what the outcome is.
Yeah. When you're trying to do the data quality audit that a lot of people have been talking to us about, who owns this data quality? Is it marketing ops? Is it the demand gen manager? Is it the lead manager? Is it the growth team? Who owns this data quality audit?
Yeah, it'll be ops people, so marketing operations, sales operations, sometimes revenue operations, depending on like how much it's affected revenue growth. Um, so that's kind of what I've seen.
And when they have this data quality audit, marketing and sales probably have a combined CRM system, right? There's not multiple CRM systems. So obviously they're trying to figure out how to manage it through these multiple systems, or sorry, multiple different teams. Who would be the owner then? Is it usually you would find that marketing tends to own this, or is it sales, or is it more of the GTM team, which is the overarching team for both?
Yeah, historically I've seen marketing own that, and actually a trend that I saw over the years is like marketing has like more and more sort of taken over ownership of the stack. Um, and to a certain extent, like RevOps is also taking over ownership of the entirety of the stack.
Awesome. David, this was good. I thought we got a good start. Um, Data quality and data audit is going to be a continuing topic as we continue to talk about it, and we will work through that as well. And have a good weekend, buddy. I will see you early part of next week.
All right, cool. Mahalo.